Welcome back, everyone. Okay, fasten your seatbelts, and I mean that. And you'll find out why. All right. So for our audience, I'm going to mention something. This is a quiz. Okay. How about Zora Duntov? How about Henry Earl? All right. Half the audience out there is going, no kidding, and the other half is going, what's this guy talking about? I'm going to throw you a softball. C8. Now you're convinced, right? Okay. This interview is about the history of America's sports car, the Corvette. And I'm grinning because I'm a car guy. And joining me today is also a car guy and the creative director for the Saratoga Auto Museum. This is Brandon Salls. Hello, Brandon.
Hello, hello. How are you, guys?
I'm good. I'm smiling away here because I've been looking forward to this interview for about 3 weeks now, so you have to
Great.
bear with me. As usual at the Saratoga Auto Museum, they do all kinds of great things, including the auction in the fall and all Memorial Day. They take over Union Avenue in Saratoga and do a car show. And there's always these incredibly well thought out, well curated shows at the Auto Museum itself. And for our viewers who say, oh, I've heard of the museum, but I don't know where it is, it's right at the entrance to the Saratoga Park, right next to SPAC. As a matter of fact, I think it was one of the original buildings for SPAC. Bottling plant is that building, and a lot of people would know that. So at any rate, Brandon, I want to get into this. What possessed you to come up with an idea? Hey, let's grab some original Corvettes. Let's grab some concept Corvettes from the Heritage Foundation, and let's do this show.
So that's a great question. It really started off just thinking about kind of what we've had the last 4 or 5 years. And we had been lacking an American exhibit. So in thinking about that, we were just throwing some things at the board to see what stuck. And Corvette was one of them. We talked about Cadillac and some others, but the story of Corvette, particularly with coming out with a new C8 and the engine, moving that and just really kind of taking a whole new look at their make and model. I thought it was a good time to bring Corvette back, and we did do a Corvette exhibit back in 2009. And now you've got 3 more generations to kind of talk about and tell the story. We've got a great relationship with the GM Heritage Collection, and it just made a perfect. They were available for the cars, and it all just kind of came together. And we've got a home run coming for sure.
So, Brandon, you got to tell me, you've got some cars coming directly from the Heritage Collection, and to our audience, that's Chevy. That's the main vestibule for where a lot of the classic cars and concept cars across the GM car lines are stored and owned. So how'd you get these cars?
Yeah, these are all one-of-one cars. They are owned by GM, who's the parent company for Chevy, Cadillac. So they house all of those collections of cars. Really, their historic stuff that they want to keep. GM Heritage Collection keeps them, maintains them. I mean, these cars are all kept in climate-controlled facilities. They're shipped climate-controlled. So it's really a big deal. I mean, for people in the area to be able to come and see these historic vehicles, historic Corvettes, it's going to be a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. So, and then to answer your question, for us being a museum, all we had to do was ask, and they happened to be available. So it all worked out for us.
I think that you just were very modest in that answer. It's not easy to get those cars because, when you said they have to be climate controlled, even when they're transported, it's the truth. I mean, these are very, very rare automobiles. In terms of Corvette itself, in 2023 celebrated 70 years. So there's quite a heritage there. Let's go back to the beginning. 53 is when the Corvette was launched. 53, 54, that era right there. You've got a car that represents the early 50s, right?
Yeah, we have a beautiful 54 come in from one of our members. He's a Silver Arrow member, great guy, collector, Corvette guy. And he's got a beautiful silver 1954 Corvette that's just perfect. So that'll be the earliest car that we have come in.
Now, that generation, by the way, to our audience is referred to as the C1 generation, went right up to the early 60s when the C2 came out. And the C2 was a breakthrough car, still to this day, right? You drool when you see one. I remember, and I got a few years on you, Brandon. I remember the first time I saw a C2 Corvette, the Stingray. I couldn't believe it. And the guy who owned it saw my jaw drop and flipped the headlights for me so I could get a first look at concealed headlights. I mean, this is such a big deal for people back then. But stylistically, it was also the beginning of something that Manta Ray, Mako Shark, there was a lot of references to sharks because of the design. It was evident in the C2 Stingrays, but really evident in the C3s, which they actually called the Makos. Now, you've got a couple of cars that are coming in from that were design studies for that era, correct?
Correct, yes. And supposedly the shark and kind of water stuff came from Bill Mitchell. He was the head of GM styling, and he loved the way sharks moved through the water. And a lot of these concept cars were done as design experiments for getting ready to put those elements into production. So they always stretched the elements a little bit, stretched the design a little bit. It might be a little more angular, might be a little more circular, depending on the look they were going for. But at that time, Bill Mitchell wanted the car to look like a shark, and the Manta Ray has a great story, or the Mako shark rather has a great story, where Bill Mitchell wanted the color to be exactly like the shark that was hanging on the wall behind him. So the guys were coming back with color samples for him, and he'd hold it up to the shark and go, "Nope." And Peter Brock told me this story personally. He was part of this design team. So the designers actually, in the middle of the night, took Bill Mitchell's shark off the wall and repainted it to match their samples so that when they came in the next day, the samples matched the shark. And that is a true story that was told by the designer that that color of that 1961 Mako shark was done in that fashion.
I never heard that story. But Mitchell was an avid fisherman.
Yep.
And that's
Yep.
why he had that shark on the wall. But that's what inspired him. He watched the sharks in the water and loved the way they move through the water, right? You're bringing a car in that I can't wait to see. At the beginning of this interview, I said Zara. Well, Zara is considered one of the gods of the Corvette, the engineer, chief engineer for the Corvette. And he always wanted to put the engine behind the driver's head. Yep. And all the way back into, the early 60s and 70s, he was always talking about this. And you're bringing one of the cars that I think is called the Reynolds Aluminum Corvette from 72. Yes. That was a real, not only a design study in putting the engine behind it, but a running model, a working model.
Yeah, and it was a little collaboration that they did with Reynolds too, with that too. So really interesting car. I bet you unless people had been to the GM Heritage Collection, nobody's ever seen this car. And it's very different from your traditional Corvette lines and styling. It reminds me a little bit of a European style car, it just so I'm excited for people to see that car and to get people's reactions on that for sure.
Oh, without a doubt. The tail on that car especially goes way out. I mean, it's just the coolest looking thing, not to mention that they stuffed 400 horsepower into it. This is 1972, by the way, and they're stuffing 400 horsepower into it. You've got a couple of other cars coming. You've got the Daytona prototype from 2012. That's a serious race car. Actually, doesn't even look like a Corvette. It just looks like a damn straight out race car.
Yeah, it kind of has that alien spaceship kind of look, real streamlined, really wide and low to the ground. And something different. We really wanted to show people, part of racing, was where they're pushing the limits on engineering, and a lot of those race elements come into production cars later on. So this is just one of those, just different Corvettes that you're not going to see anywhere else.
I know. And one other one, you're bringing the C7R. They actually did a version of that you could buy, I think, but that R at the end of the C7 means that it's a race car. And that one is really tricked out.
Yeah, that car won the 24 Hours of Le Mans in the year mistakes me right offhand. But it will be on our website where you can see that. But really spectacular car, and we're so excited to have it come in.
All right. Well, again, I can't wipe the smile off my face. It's just so incredible that we've got this wonderful museum right here in Saratoga, and a curator who loves cars and goes out of his way to make certain that, yeah, you could display a bunch of cars, but how about get one-offs? How about getting concept cars? How about bringing cars in that need to be transported in climate-controlled trailers? I know people that don't travel like that, Brandon, okay? And you got cars traveling.
That's true.
So to the Corvette lovers or people interested in cars at all, most of the generations from 1 through 8 will be represented, including the C8, which many people consider a real breakthrough for the Corvette, which is the new one with the engine in the back, and they'll be there. Now, the exhibit opens May 4, is that right?
May 4th. Yep.
Okay,
Yep.
and it's good. I think it runs all summer, right?
It does. Yeah, we're going to be going right through October on this exhibit.
Oh, great. So you're going through the auction and all that, then it'll be inside.
Yes. Yep. And we haven't mentioned this, but we do have, the museum is auctioning or has a sweepstakes for a C8 Corvette right now, where you can win a Corvette from the museum. And we're going to be drawing that winning ticket at our spring auto show. It's $160,000 build for a C8, and you get $20,000 in cash. And that'll be drawn May 1st. So there's a ton of ticket opportunities on the museum's website where you can just log on and possibly win a C8. And we'll be drawing that name on May 11th at the Spring Auto Show.
Holy mackerel. Well, one last thing is that I can announce to you, my friend, that I am the proud owner of a C8 Corvette, that
Awesome.
I'm a design junkie as well, so I had it built. Ralph Mangino at Mangino Chevrolet helped me get this car, really helped me get this car. And we had it built at the factory, and I can't tell you, I go in the garage in the morning and say good morning to it. Okay, so that's how bad it gets sometimes. Right?
You'll have to give me a ride. You'll have to give me a ride.
I surely will, my friend. Okay, thank you so much for taking the time to do this. And to our audience, the web address on the bottom of the screen has so much cool information about all the things that we're talking about. So for the half of the audience that said, oh, I guess I was pretty interested, and the other half of the audience that's drooling because they can't wait to get to the Saratoga Auto Museum on May 4, I hear you. All right, my friend, you take care, and I'll see you soon, okay?
Great. Thank you very much.
Take care.
Bye.